Many have taken up the name of Robin. Any orphan Batman sees on the street is destined to fight crime in tights. Although to be fair, a lot of Robins weren't actually orphans. For example, Tim Drake, Stephanie Brown, Damian Wayne. Neither was the one we're talking about today, Van Wayne. Van Wayne is Bruce Wayne's first cousin, who would only appear once in a story from Batman issue 148 from 1962. You might know the character from the very short-lived DC Comics sitcom Powerless, which we'll be talking about later in this video. I will be honest, I actually kind of like the show and wish it stuck around for at least a full season. I knew of the character of Van Wayne before reading this issue because of that show, but after reading this comic, I really had to just talk about the character in general. If you're a fan of obscure Robins, then you should check out my video on the first female Robin, Mary Wills. Link in card. Shameless plug. I actually want to make a few more videos on obscure Robin characters because there's quite a bit of them, like Jaro and that Ren lady from the 2021 book. But at the same time, I'm not entirely sure if I should make a playlist or just make a few more videos about the Robins. Our story begins with Bruce telling Alfred and Dick that his younger cousin is visiting them for a while, and to make sure to be careful in securing their secret identities as being Batman and Robin. Van then soon shows up, and I mean very soon, just like the next panel, where he looks identical to Dick, down to even wearing the same clothes. Van is shown to be very obnoxious and arrogant. This continues as Dick and Van fence for fun, where Van comments that Dick is good but he's better. I just realized I said Dick is good. Van is proven wrong by Dick beating him, also in gymnastics, which makes Van very salty. Is it cringe I just said salty? Yeah, I'm saying it anyways. Alfred, despite being told to be careful and saying that he would be careful, just casually walks around the manor with Batman and Robin costumes, where Van of course catches him. It's said that apparently Alfred had to clean them, but why couldn't he have cleaned them in the Batcave? They're also specified as being the spare costumes. I'm not entirely sure why. Bruce easily plays it off as saying that they're costumes for a party, which Van does fall for. I just have so many questions about why Alfred was doing this. Was he wanting to be caught? Did he want another person in on their secret? Did he just was over Bruce and Dick's secrets? Why did he bring them up? Why did he just walk around the manor with the Batman and Robin costumes? After Bruce and Dick leave, Van is given the idea after seeing those two costumes as a way to prove to them that he's better than Dick. I don't mean Robin, I just mean Dick. Because Van, for whatever reason, seems to have a jealousy of Dick for being adopted and getting his cousin's father treatment. But Van still has parents, he mentions them. Dick is an orphan. Why would he be upset that his cousin is helping an orphan? He's upset that his cousin adopted an orphan over him, even though that he has parents. He's not an orphan. Later that night, at whatever function Bruce and Dick are at, suddenly there's a fire that a fake Batman and Robin come to put out. This fake Robin that takes Dick aside where he's revealed to be Van, who claims the only reason why he beat him earlier is because Van let him. Van is so upset that Dick beat him in fencing and gymnastics that he's pretending to be a superhero. He also just wants to come across as an actual hero, therefore he is just going on about how much better he is than Dick. Okay, what a hero. I like how both Mary and Van became Robin because of an obsession with Dick, although Mary's was actually with Robin and his Dick, while Van is just with Dick Grayson. The fake Batman is a con artist that Van hired. He then attempts to convince Van to help him rob an ice cream business, which Van is completely against. Therefore, fake Batman knocks him out. This con tries to do the job, which is apparently a giant ice cream parlor. Like, who would eat here? Is this where Giganta and the Atom go on their dates, which yes was an actual canon relationship? Batman, Robin, and Robin work together to fight this con Batman. It's a very quick fight, but it was kinda cool to see two Robins fight together, something that is very common as in modern comics. The final panel is of Van apologizing to Dick for lying about being Robin, unaware that Dick is Robin. If you think I went through the story really fast, I didn't. It's only 8 pages. The story itself is a very basic idea, but due to how little time there is to tell it, there's not much to talk about. No real risks are made aside from the fake Batman ice cream shop robbery, which in itself is a little out of nowhere. Van himself is also kinda out of nowhere, but you kinda need him for the story since he's the main character. If this story had been a little bit longer, I think it would have been better to have fleshed out Van hiring the con artist. Also, Van himself as a character, since I think he needs a better reason to be Robin, or pretend to be Robin. Not to say he can't be jealous of Dick, but the idea that he's upset that Bruce adopted Dick feels very unlikable and just overall really weird, because we know he has living parents. If Van had actually been an orphan, I think this story would have been a lot better. Well, at least for Van. His jealousy for Dick would have made a lot more sense. The idea that he was practically left behind by his family while Bruce adopts another orphan who he doesn't even really know. As in when Dick was an orphan, not when he was his son. Well, Van, who was his family, just was left behind. Although to do that, you would probably have to make Bruce a little unlikable, which probably wouldn't have been a good idea. It's better to have Van unlikable than Bruce being unlikable. That also might have been a little too dark for the Silver Age of DC Comics. Van in comic form would never be seen nor mentioned again, and after crisis, the Wayne family became a lot more layered and detailed in their family tree. Van's placing would be lost and made impossible to what it once was, unless we're doing a retcon. Since at the moment, Thomas is established as only having one sibling, Helen Wayne, who is dead, so Van can't be her son. And since his last name is Wayne, that means that he can't be on Martha's side. Unless Helen had Van before she died, but there are plenty of lines that heavily imply that she didn't have any kids, meaning that Van simply just can't exist anymore. Unless we're doing a messy retcon, which comics love to do, but I don't know if we have to do one for Van Wayne, because are anyone really asking for Van Wayne? If they were to bring him back, he could just be a second cousin or a third cousin. He doesn't have to be his first cousin. The character of Van Wayne is most known due to his inclusion on the live-action TV series Powerless, played by Alan Tudyk. Van is actually the only main character who's from the comics. Other comic characters are in reoccurring roles, most notably Fire and Crimson Fox. Van Wayne's inclusion is surprising due to the fact that the character only appeared a single time in the Silver Age in what was a very short story. I couldn't find any reason or quote as to why they chose to include the character. This version of Van Wayne is an adult and heads the Wayne security branch our main characters work for. He does maintain his personality and wishes to receive respect from his cousin. There was also a line that did imply something that I really hope it doesn't, but there was a moment in the series where he mentioned having a threesome involving his cousin, which, well, I'm hoping did not involve the two of them in any way of that shape or form, but it just made me uncomfortable because I feel like that was unnecessary and it felt really weird. But most of the jokes on the show I thought were pretty funny. Just that one really stood out to me. In the fourth episode of the series, Van started becoming Robin to be semi-adapted. He would now dress up as Robin after recovering a Batman Batarang, hoping that when he returns into the Dark Knight, he'd be accepted as the new Robin. This plot point is treated by the rest of the characters as being ridiculous, which it was. But I liked it more here than I did in the comic. I think it's because it fits better in a comedic setting than attempting to kind of make things feel more serious in a very silly way, with the giant ice cream parlor and the jealousy. Which, interestingly enough, Van wanting to become Robin actually has nothing to do with being jealous or wanting his cousin's approval. He just wants to become Robin. Those two character traits are completely separate in this iteration, which I think is really interesting. And weirdly make it a lot better. Also because Van in the show is very extra. It works with the character on this show more than it worked with the character in the comic. Due to the lack of material the episode had, the main plot is actually about Emily starting to date a Riddler henchman. Not going to lie, I found it kind of fun. Even though this show lasted not very long at all. In fact, I'm pretty sure it only lasted like 6 months. I honestly thought it was a cool idea. Maybe the approach wasn't great, but there were parts of it I really did like. Personally, this is my favorite episode of the entire series. To be fair, there's not a lot of episodes to compete with, but this one is definitely my favorite. Van Wayne would also be referenced in the Arrow series finale, which was an intentional nod to Powerless and by proxy the original comic character of Van Wayne. This version of the character has his own company, meaning he's doing the best out of all the versions of Van. Van in Powerless was very humorous and entertaining. After all, he's played with the great Alan Tudyk, but his comic counterpart was just a random character of a random filler story that had 8 pages. Yet he still left his mark. I do wonder if we'll ever see Van again. A part of me wants to say yes, Only because we're dealing a lot with the multiverse lately, and I feel like Powerless might just get a cameo in some sort of multiverse event at DC. I'm very surprised that they weren't a part of the Arrowverse Crisis event. In fact, I'm kind of shocked that they weren't. Although when it comes down to the comics, I don't think we need Van there. The character really was just a one-and-done character who, if brought back, would likely be retconned as being his second cousin, or his third cousin, or just someone in his family. And that's it. Like always, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!